There is a moment in every person's life where the world doesn't just whisper something, it screams. A moment where the universe stops you sharply, so unexpectedly, so brutally, truthfully, that it feels like time bends for a second. My moment didn't happen during anything dramatic. Not during a breakdown, not during a huge loss, not during some enlightening meditation. It was happened the most ordinary way imaginable. I was sitting alone, staring at a number on a screen. That number, the balance in my account, didn't just represent money. It represents every version of myself I had ever been. Every fear, every belief, every habit, every limitation, every identity, every story I had ever told myself. I didn't even react at first. I just stared. Not because I was shocked, but because I was numb. I was used to that number, too used to it, so used to it that my body had memorized the emotion before my mind even processed it. That's when the truth started sinking in, a truth I had avoided for years. My nervous system was trained for struggle, not abundance. I wasn't broke. I was conditioned to expert lack. The realization was so uncomfortable that my chest tightened instantly. My breath went shallow. My jaw clenched. My shoulders curled in. My entire body responded like that number was a threat. And that's when I finally noticed something massive. Money wasn't my enemy, friends. Money wasn't my enemy. My reaction to money was my enemy. I felt shame. I felt fear. I felt pressure. I felt tension. Not because of the number, but because of the stories attached to it. Stories I didn't choose, stories I inherited, stories I absorbed, stories society fed me, stories I heard growing up, stories I never questioned because they felt normal. But normal doesn't mean true. And in that moment, in the dark quiet of my room, I had to face something I had never faced before. I wasn't fighting money, I was fighting myself. I put the phone down slowly, my hands were slightly shaking, but not from fear, from the intensity of what I was finally seeing. I looked around the room and everything suddenly felt unfamiliar. Like I was seeing my life from the outside for the very first time. And remember, friends, we are soul, not the body. The lack wasn't coming from the world. The lack was coming from my identity, my beliefs, my habits, my thought patterns, my programming, my energy, my self-concept, my subconscious programming. I had spent years trying to manifest more money without realizing I had built my entire identity around not having enough. I had built my routines around scarcity. I had built my decisions around fear. I had built my goals around survival mode. I have built my expectations around disappointment. And the universe kept matching the identity I was living from, not the identity I said I wanted. That's when something inside me snapped. not emotionally, energetically. A shift, a click, a crack in the old version of myself. I was subtle but unmistakably powerful. I stood up, my legs felt heavy, but my energy felt sharp, almost electric. I walked to the mirror slowly as if pulled by something beyond logic. I started at my own reflection, but it didn't feel like me. It felt like the version of myself I had been pretending to be. The tired version, the stressed version, the confused version, the overwhelmed version. Then it hit me. I was looking at the identity that was blocking everything I have ever asked for. The identity that played small. The identity that expected disappointment. The identity that believed wealth was for others. The identity that tried to manifest while vibrating fear. The identity that begged the universe instead of becoming the version who receives. I felt this sudden flood of emotions, not sadness, not anger, the truth. Raw, undeniable truth. And with that truth came something I wasn't expecting. A deep, overwhelming calm. A calmness that didn't feel like peace. A calmness that felt like power. I took a slow breath, the first breath, deep breath I had taken all day. Then another, and another. And without forcing it, without planning it, without even thinking it through, I said, I'm done living like someone money avoids. And I swear the air in the room changed. The energy shifted instantly, like I stepped into a different timeline. My shoulders dropped, my jaw relaxed, my heartbeat slowed, my mind stopped racing. It felt like the universe paused, waiting for what I would say next. So I said, I'm done chasing money. Money can come to me now. Not as an affirmation. I want you to note this point, friends. Not as an affirmation. Not as a wish. Not as a hope. But as a decision, as a command. Because you are the soul. And soul can command. Because you are a spiritual being, not the body. A decision that didn't just change my mind, it changed my identity. For the first time in my entire life, I wasn't imagining the wealthy version of myself. I was that version. My reflection looked different. My posture changed completely. My breathing shifted. I felt wealthy before I was wealthy. I felt abundant before anything changed. I felt powerful before any evidence appeared. That's when the cascade began. Ideas flowed effortlessly the morning. Opportunities appeared in a way that felt supernatural. Delayed responses suddenly came through. People I hadn't spoken to in years reached out with value. Unexpected money started showing up in small, then bigger waves. But the real shift wasn't the money. The real shift was me. The whole secret is me. I am the one who can become that version in my mind. Before it gets into reality, you have to become that version in your mind and continuously feel it as well, so that your frequency can be aligned with the universe and you can send a signal to universe. Most people never understand this. Their whole life they die like this only, living a bloody middle class life, or I would say middle class mindset life, with poor thinking habits. The real shift was me. My self-concept stopped matching the identity of struggle. My energy stopped matching the frequency of lack. My decisions stopped coming from fear. My beliefs stopped reinforcing a poor reality. I didn't attract money. I aligned with the identity that money already belongs to. And that changed everything. Every single thing. Once I stepped into that version of myself, fully, unapologetically, energetically, the universe didn't have a choice. It had to rearrange my reality. Money began showing up in ways I couldn't even predict. Opportunities expanded. People started treating me differently. I began treating myself differently. The world around me just adjusted to match the energy within me. And I realized something I wish I knew years ago. Money was never the manifestation. The identity was the manifestation. The night I stopped chasing money was the night money started chasing me. Not because I repeated affirmations, not because I visualized harder, not because I did a technique, but because I became the version of myself who naturally attracts everything I once begged for. And I will never go back to that old identity again, because that version of me wasn't real. It was just a story I had been told. Now the story is mine. Now the reality is mine. Now the timeline is mine. And I choose abundance every single time. I'll see you in my next video, guys.